Jeffrey the Mantra Ooms may have already been crowned the GTLM champion for Season 6, but the Prototype and GTD championships have come down to the wire. The final round will take place here in the Ardennes Mountains at the classic circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. It's a fitting closer for a classic season, which has seen more unpredictability than any of the prior championships in the Autobahn series. We'll wait and see if there's any twists left in the story as we get ready to watch the final round of the Autobahn Motorcar Group's Sportscar Challenge. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the Prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Suit Zahn. Keeping us up on the GTD class is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, the AMGSC has raced at Spa a number of times before, but in case our viewers are new to the series, why don't you tell them a little bit about this place?
Joe, circuit Spa-Francorchamps, designed in 1920. They laid it out on public roads. You know, the original course actually had 25 turns. It was about 9.3 miles long. It was a monster back then. But after World War II, the track was shortened just a bit, but remained still the fastest road course in Europe and had a really nasty reputation for being dangerous. In '81, they got on board with a lot of safety concerns, and they shortened up this track, cutting it to about 7 kilometers, 4 miles out of the old layout. Now, the modern layout that we're racing on today has been around since about 2007. We're looking at 19 turns, about 4.3 miles. And Joe, a lot of historic racing has gone on over here over the years. This one will be no different today, looking for an exciting race here at Spa. But the best way to get an idea what this place is really like is to jump on board the GSRC lap guide around Spa.
All right, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Spa. The very first corner is the nefarious La Source hairpin. Turn 1 pileups are common here, so drivers will need their heads on a swivel. 3 and sometimes even 4 wide can happen as everyone jockeys for position. As you exit, getting the power down is going to be critical due to the combination of the downhill and the long acceleration zone. Heading by the old pits, you gotta hug that wall to the right and set up for Eau Rouge. Then hold your breath and keep your foot down as you try to straighten this baby out. Guys who push wide at Rodillon are going to wind up with a slowdown penalty, and that is going to hurt as everyone blows by them along the Kemmel Straight. Now we switch to an uphill climb to the highest point on the circuit. The Lacombe chicane coming up will be one of your best passing opportunities, though it is possible to defend from the outside. You can expect guys to pass up an easy overtake into La Source and wait to get somebody here. As you switch back and forth, make sure you set up for Malmedy to keep anybody from getting a run on you toward Rivage. Now it's all downhill from here. Literally. We've got a steep plunge into the braking zone and all the way around this 180-degree corner. You're likely to experience understeer, but before you know it, it's time to get to the right and flick it through no-name corner. Now we set it up for Pouan. With the grip of these cars, there's just a little braking and then holding on as the car tries to slide wide into that paved runoff. As soon as you feel you've got the line, time to ease onto that right pedal and accelerate the rest of the way around this very fast corner. Careful how wide you drift on the exit though, with the slippery AstroTurf right beside the curb. Get back to the left, and now we've got Fagnes. Make sure and hug the inside on that right-hander to give yourself the best launch towards Stavelot. Once again, be wary of that AstroTurf. One more switchback, and it's a pretty straightforward 90-degree corner for this first part. But the real important thing is the next right-hander. We only have to lift a little, but wait too long, and you'll lose time hand over fist down the backstretch. You've got some mild little turns, but once again, there's no lifting all the way. Even as you come up to Blanchimont, the grip of this car lets you stay in it easily. Just carry as much of your momentum as you can, and then drift back to the left and spot your brake marker for the bus stop. This is probably your next best chance to get beside another car in the braking zone. I've seen passes made both inside and outside, so pick your poison and hold firm. There's even a possibility of pulling a switchback if you time it right. But as we pull back to the main straight, we've now finished a lap around Spa.
And there's a lap up and down the hills and the mountains here at Spa. Now, Bill, one last time for the season. What are the points sitting like? Because from what I see, it looks very enticing.
It is. We got to start. Let's start by talking about the prototypes here. Now, before I get into this, I want to point out that of all the series GSRC covers, when it comes down to point overlay, nobody makes it easier than for Andy and Jackson in our graphics department than the Autobahn guys. Let's go ahead and look at this now. When we drill down on the points a little bit, what happened was a moral question presented itself. Should penalty points be dropped? Look at Tinsley. He's up by 17 points. What happened is in round 4, Tinsley scored 9 points, but he also picked up a 15-point penalty, which means he got -6 for the event, and that's dropped. Easy speasy. But if you play the what-if game, suppose that he had got a 115-point penalty. Well, he would have ended up with, what, a giant negative thing, and that would have been wiped out as well. So what it basically means is that if you allow yourself to drop penalty points, it really doesn't matter the severity of the penalty as long as you get to drop it. Glassy-eyed yet? Yeah, I don't blame you. All it really means is of how the penalty points are scored right now, the difference between Tinsley and Cy Andra is 17 points. That means, compared to what 11 it would have been the other way. Nevertheless, Tinsley looks to be in pretty good shape. We figure if he finishes 7th or better, he has this thing locked up. Make sure you tune in next year when GSRC covers other important human cloning and robots if they could commit murder. Some other moral issues we'll deal with. Daniel Gralty, John Ulmers at 3rd and 4th. And the driver to watch next season is going to be Magic Alex Ellis. He's going to be fast. Let's go ahead now. Let's move on to something a little less controversial. The GTLMs, where the only ethical question is it fair for one driver to be so fast? Joe mentioned it at the top. Jeffrey, the Mantra Ooms, man, he has been something else all season long. He's had everybody in a trance. Stephen McGarvey had nothing for him, as Billy Smith, Ryan Huff, Leif Peterson round out the overlay there. Let's go to the GTDs. And right now, this thing is all about momentum. Bradley Haley had it early. Dennis Savretic had it late. And if the Comet is going to stop this tailspin, momentum is not going to be on his side. Savretic finally got ahead of him. The difference, 6 points. Pocket points aren't going to play much of an issue. It's really going to be who can beat who right now out there Severitic has a little bit of a cushion. Finally, to the team championships. When you look at these, it's all really about compass points, east versus west, and that's for second position between the Autobahn guys, as they are separated by only 7 points. SRN Motorsports, man, they have been good. You didn't hear me talk much about Daniel Giralty, Ryan Huff, or Scott McGarvey. None of those guys sitting well up in the the drivers' championships, but nevertheless, man, they are crushing the field. TMC Racing and TMC Carbon, the cousin teams, go 4th and 5th. Joe, we got to the end. Just 90 minutes of racing before we get this all decided.
Oh, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out, because if the rest of the season is anything to go by, you really just can't know what to expect today. Now, what you can expect are race details, and we always bring those to you guys as well. So, as we said, we are on season 6 of this series, as we've covered it for 5 of those 6 seasons. We've enjoyed every single one. Now, final round, and they do have 2 drop weeks, as we said. That kind of complicates things a little bit, but not so much, at least in the GTDs. That's a nice straight fight that we're going to watch between those. The race distance day is an endurance race, a nice long one for the final round at 90 minutes. And they have open setup on the cars, so you can expect 2 stops out there with the reduced fuel level from the usual fuel level that you can expect on these vehicles. We think maybe 3 for the HPDs. We'll have to wait and see and how tight it is with them. Now, they have an incident cap as well. And what that means is if drivers have an off track, run into another car, run into the wall, or have a spin, they collect incident points. You get 36 of those. You are disqualified immediately on the spot. You disappear. And that is going to be critical for any of our top drivers to keep an eye on if they start to rack them up a little bit. You also saw that they have a spare car. And Sean, we've seen that come into play, especially at a place like this. I seem to recall one of the races, I believe Tinsey used his spare car and came back and won.
Yeah, Joe, you know what? That could be very beneficial this evening. It's a very long track, though, and depending on where you may have to take a tow from, boy, you better hope you can get the car back to the pit to get that fast repair, because, again, the length of this track means losing a lot of time. I'll tell you what, though, Joe, I worry about the tires here this evening and whether or not they're going to hold up on this track, because on track it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and at least that's where we started, and that's just going to go up. Now it's partly cloudy, only about 75 degrees today, but we've got a pretty deep, big field this evening, and I think they are going to really to help themselves avoid those penalty points. They're going to really have a hard time keeping the car on track late in their runs tonight.
Ooh, and if they have a hard time keeping it on track, we've seen in the past how easy it is to rack up the incident points at Spa. Don't want to see any DQs out there, but as always, that certainly brings drama as we ride on board Brandon Guasia during the last chance qualifying. Each of the classes has their own qualifying that they run in for 15 minutes to keep them from tripping over slower classes. However, the last chance is for anybody who can't meet their allotted classes qualifying time due to other obligations, or they can use it strategically if they want. As long as they don't put a lap out on track in their set qualifying, they can come out and take the risk of doing it in mixed class qualifying out here. So we see Billy Smith working his way around as well, and the GTLM's not quite his season this season. I'm sure he'll be happy to have the refresh. Now, Bill, speaking of the qualifying, we were kind of eyeing the times of our prototypes here, because 2 of them are players in the championship, and the third, it really is on a tear in terms of wins.
Yeah, my goodness, you look at those qualifying times, and the prototypes are separated by, well, basically 10 100ths of a second, well, 10 1,000ths of a second if I do my decimals right there, between Andre Ellis and Tinsey. Even Young is going to be in there as well. And then also down in Sean's qualifying down there in GTDs. Yeah. It's going to be close. Haley got up there, snuck in.
Yeah, Haley and Severitic are going to have quite a battle here. It's not tied up for Severitic. He has any trouble at all, any misfortune, Bradley Haley has a chance to snatch this away from him, Joe. And the qualifying time is very, very close. 2:17.376 and a 2:17.424 for Severitic. So right now, Haley with the pole, and will hold that based on his qualifying effort. So going to be a great battle between these two tonight for a championship.
And speaking of which, Sean, you talked about, or we were talking about the prototypes and their pit strategy on if it's going to be 2 stops or 3 stops. The GTDs, even though they can go longer, I almost wonder, since this is a bit of a draft track, should Bradley Haley try to get a little cute with it maybe and just ride behind Savretic for as much of the race as he can and see if he can jump him later?
The problem for Brad is, I don't think finishing second behind Haley. Okay.
Well, I'm saying should he save fuel? I mean, in the draft.
Well, yes. Okay, so should he, like you said, try to get cute with it? Yes, he should. Okay, he's the one that needs to take the risk. That's where I was trying to go a moment ago. He's the one that's going to need to take the risk to win this championship. If nothing goes bad for Savretic, that's all he's got on his side, because they both have about the same pace, Joe. They're both bad fast, and they've proved that all season long.
And qualifying is over. So with that, let's go to our grid. Starting on the pole, but just barely, is Cy Andra. Now, the good news for him is he's going to be flanked on the front row by his teammate. Now, they're not teammates in the sense of the team's championship here, but they do race for the same team. You're going to see the same paint scheme on those cars. That's Alex Ellis next to him. Robert Tinsey, the championship leader, starts in 3rd. But if he sits there and finishes there, he can still clinch the championship. Mike Young will be next to him in 4th. Then in row 3, it'll be Daniel Gralti in 5th with Armando Edwards starting 6th. Mark Wilson starts in P7, followed by Lionel Duprat in 8th, and Chris Pence rounding out the only 9 HPDs that we have out there today. Bill?
The old veteran is back. Jason Girard telling this young guy, I've been racing in the series while you were still wearing short pants. He sits on the pole inside of the Mantra. Jeffrey Ooms back in 2nd. So maybe not wire to wire for the Mantra today. Steve McGarvey, last season's defending champion, is back. He's sitting in 3rd. Ryan Huff having a great season in 4th. Billy Smith in 5th. That's where he usually starts, though. Look for him to be stronger as the race goes on. Leif Peterson, Dave Hill, Patrick Fleming, and Larry Ford in a Ford, racing in 18th. Sean?
All right, Super. We're going to go to the pole, the GTD class, and guess what? Bad Brad Haley on top tonight. Dennis Savretic right there on the front row with him in 2nd. Scott McGarvey will start 3rd. Dale Green will be starting 10th in class for him. That's 22nd overall. Kevin Santana going to start 4th today. Paul Lindsay, 5th. Sheldon Rosenbaum starting 6th. In 7th, Brandon Garcia. 8th, Ross Booth. Alan Hayspeck will start 9th. Mark Kudrowski, 10th. Tim McLeish, 11th. 12th goes to Matt Owens, and Robert Sklenka will be starting 13th. And I don't think Dino Topic has reconnected, so I don't think he's going to be starting tonight.
You know, Sean, it's interesting. This is a 90-minute race, one of the few ones that we have 2 pit stops. A lot of the race is going to be spent on pit lane, as it's a long way around here. Man, they have to do it twice.
It is a trek. You're right about that, Soup. And well, you got to be careful too. It's not the easiest pit road to get out of. It has a very, very sharp right-hand turn. We I call it the drive-through window, and you want to be careful not to hit that as you go down through there. But it is a monster pit lane. I expect the bogey time to probably be somewhere around a minute at least. Soup.
Joe coined the phrase Austin Powersing it when somebody did that in that pit lane entry there. This happened a couple times. They've had drivers run out of fuel in this series on pit lane and get backed up as well.
It did make a few people happy for sure. Now, usually I ask you guys for your predictions on the race winners. I want to do it a little bit different today. Who's going to win in your respective championships?
Well, I'll go up here up front. I think, as much as I'd like to see excitement there, I think Robert Tinsey has the experience. He's in the driver's seat. He should be good to go down there. And of course, Jason Girard, or Jeffrey Ooms rather, has it locked up in the GTLMs. But Sean, you get the tough call between Haley and Savretic.
And I like both guys a lot. And I get the really, really tough one. I didn't have a pick come. I still don't, but give me bad Brad for the upset. And as I say that, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm not sure, but yeah, give me bad Brad for the upset. Let's do this.
Well, Joe was talking about it earlier. It's Brad Haley. Joe has had some horrible luck.
Oh, well, last season he was so fast, and then Lauro Costa came into things on the GTD class and just swept the floor with everybody, and mostly on strategy. So he wound up finishing second for the season. And I feel like you got to feel a bit for Bradley if he loses the championship again this season, especially after he came in so dominantly at the start of it and looked so fast. And we thought, since Laura Costa had originally moved over to the HPDs and has actually since left, we thought, oh, well, this is Bradley's to lose now. He's got to have this championship. And then came Denis Sofretic, and everybody started sweating. And now it's not just sweating, it is gritting teeth. It is go time, Sean.
It really is. Sofretic has been hot ever since his feet hit the track here. Again, I still haven't sold myself on that pick, but this is going to be one for the ages. I'm really excited about this. 90 minutes is really listen, if you can't get this sorted out in 90 minutes, then you were never meant to sort it out. That's my opinion.
Oh, it's going to be a good one, as Spa almost always puts on good racing, especially here in the Autobahn series, as we wait for the pace car to take off, just waiting for all the cars to grid up at this point. And I think the only one that we don't have out there is Dino Topic, and I don't think he's racing, so they're getting going anyways, as the roof pace car leads them around Blanchimont up towards one of the more popular passing spots, Bill, the bus stop.
Love the bus stop. It is exciting coming in. It is exciting coming out of the bus stop. And Joe's, where's the start-finish line today? It's around the other side.
Out of La Source, yes. Yeah. It's before Eau Rouge. So it's on the downhill. But the finish line, you're going to see them crossing it here soon. It's coming out of the bus stop. And the pace car, they actually had to give special instructions here to the drivers for the starts. They cannot go when the pace car pulls off here. So if you see anybody jump, they're actually going to get a little bit of a talking to, possibly even a penalty. There the pace car peels off. There's that pit entry. This is where the finish line is going to be here, if the camera will move eventually here. It's off screen to the right. There it is. They just went past it. So that's where the finish line will be. And that's critical because obviously this is another place where drivers can pass into La Source. And so if they could go farther and finish past here, that would offer another opportunity. But that's not to be. This is where they start the race. Downhill, this is where they're going to get the green flag. And Cy Andre does not wait at all as he accelerates away, and his teammate immediately slots in behind him up into Eau Rouge. They're already single file, very orderly. Let's go to the GTLMs.
Gerard in his Ford gets a good jump, slotting right back in as Ooms. McGarvey, Huff, they file in the way that they qualified. Sean, are the GTDs around La Source yet?
Man, it just came around La Source, and Bad Brad is on his way. I'll tell you what, Sofretic, maybe a little bit of sleep on that, but as they come down the hill here and head on into Rédillon for the first time, right now Eau Rouge for the first time, now up to Rédillon, the front two get away pretty clean. Nice start for Scott McGarvey back there also.
We have an incident in the GTLMs. Ryan Huff goes around at La Source, or excuse me, Lacombe.
Yeah, he's sitting there all alone, but the GTDs will be here in just a moment.
He's got it going. Yeah, he's well ahead of them. Let's take a look at what happened here. There was a bit of a fight just ahead of him, as that was Stephen McGarvey trying to work his way around Ooms. And it looks like it maybe caught Huff out just a little bit, spun him around. Other than that, a very, very tidy start for this series. So we jump up to our prototypes. Ellis following closely behind Andra. Here's where I'm curious, Bill, as we watch them come up to the bus stop. On Ellis with a bit of a run. Is he going to make a pass? He doesn't try yet. And this... Whoa! Oh, what a big mistake from Andra. This is not good for him. He wants to stay in first as well as he can. He loses more traction out of the corner. His main championship rival, Robert Tinsey, with a run down to La Source. He's got the inside line into this hairpin. Can he finally get it done? The answer is yes. So puts himself into an even better position to wrap this up now.
Yeah, Andre was sitting up front, doing all he could do, is leading the way and winning pole, so getting points for that as well. But now he's back in third. That's only going to help out Tinsley's chances for the championship.
Well, and the question that I was going to bring up is with Andre and Ellis being teammates. Ellis isn't in the championship. Does he try to help his teammate out? Does he try to do all he can to hold up Tinsley?
I don't think so. I think Alex wants to make a statement about what's coming next season when he's back for a full run. He's going to be somebody to watch out for. I think Robert's going to have his hands full, as is Andre, Ulmer, and Young, everybody who comes back in the prototypes.
Let's head to second in the GTLMs, because just like on the first lap into Lacombe, Stephen McGarvey's got a run on Jeffrey Ooms. He's a little bit farther up beside him, but under braking, Ooms looks so much stronger and actually chops him off at the apex.
You said it, Joe. That's exactly what happened on the very first lap. It was Ooms taking that defensive line into Lacombe. And what's interesting, though, is look at the pace that Gerard has as he's starting to leg it out here a little bit. Smith now up into fourth. Peterson in fifth.
This is a much stronger Gerard than we've seen in the past here in the GTLM. Glad to see him giving a little bit of trouble to Jeffrey Ooms, because he's needed some competition up there.
And I love this class because it's a nice mix between the Fords and the Ferraris. They both seem to be equally matched. A couple Fords up front, a couple Ferraris right in, nestled in between. Not as much fun when it comes to manufacturers, Sean, down where you are, huh?
Yeah, no, not near as much fun. Sue, we got a little bit of a battle going on here for 25th overall, 7th in class here. Alan Hayspec being chased by Ross Booth. It is really the first battle that's kind of developed here. The leaders, pretty good pace, but not really fighting each other right now. But Ross Booth certainly wants to get this spot away from Hayspec.
Mid-pack battle out here, which also includes a bit of an AM championship battle, and that is between the drivers of McLeish and Woloshin. McLeish is actually behind Booth at the moment, and actually, is Woloshin here today?
No, Woloshin is not here today, so McLeish has been working on that for several rounds now. Here comes the pass, though. Oh, boy, Booth going to get to the inside. Hayspec going to let him go.
Goes a little wide through Blanchimont, but no harm, no foul, at least for now. That will give him an incident point. Ducks his nose in, and I think in these early days, it looks like Hayspec just decides, not worth that sort of risk.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was, Joe. He just really did not try to challenge it much harder than what you saw there on screen. So saves the car, saves himself, and gets to save a little fuel. Here's a battle up front, though.
Oh, and this is in the GTLMs as we see Gerard and Ooms going at it. Ooms has to settle for second yet again, and McGarvey took a little bit of a peek on him, but couldn't do anything with it. Top three under a blanket in the GTLMs. Not what we're used to seeing, as typically these guys spread apart. But an update then to our AM Championship in the GTDs as we try to cover those when we can. That makes McLeish our champion down there, so congratulations to Tim.
But Sean said it. He had been working on that championship for a long time. We've been covering it. Those two guys always seem to be racing next to each other on the track. Can't do that when one's not here.
Man, it's GTLM. Sorry to jerk us around here, but GTLM lead getting close once again. Ooms had a run down into Fagnes, and Gerard wouldn't give him the opportunity. We ride on board with Gerard now, looking back. Awful nice of Ford to design a nice viewing hole there so that we can see.
Yes.
Well done.
They definitely had us in mind.
Ooms has a lot to worry about. He'd like to get the spot, but now here comes the guy that's making a run. Adam McGarvey has some good pace.
Has to back off. No too wide through Blanchimont, at least at this point in the race. Ooms going to look to the inside. A little bit of a defensive move from Gerard down into the bus stop. They weave their way through. Everybody off the corner looking nice and solid, although Ooms and McGarvey drop off a little bit of Gerard's car.
These guys waited 15 races to get a really good battle here in the GTLMs. This is nice to see.
No time like the present, that's for sure, as they work their way downhill towards Eau Rouge. The New Yorker has led since the drop of the green. I'm sure he'd like another win under his belt. He's gotten a few, at least in the HPDs and the GTLMs. I'm trying to remember, has he won in GTD yet? I know that was one thing we mentioned, that he's won in 2 of the classes. Another look up the inside from McGarvey. This time he's got the inside line on Ooms. He kept trying the outside line. This one working a little bit better as it switches into Malmedy. He's got the inside, and yet it's not the momentum.
Oh, man, those Bushfink drivers are hard to get around.
The Mantra stays as calm as always, fending off another comer. We haven't checked in on our prototypes in a while. And right now, Ellis, since he has gotten the lead, has started to streak away with things.
Yeah, the guy I think worth noting is Mike Young in 4th. He's able to hang right onto the back of Andra. Sitting about 7/10 of a second back, but has been able to manage that gap, as is Daniel Gralty.
If I recall last round, I think Mike Young was up in at least in the mix for the lead for a little bit of the race at Imola, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's one of the.
Recall.
He did. Yeah, he's been around. He's one of the 7 drivers to have a win in this class. There's lots of them. You know, a couple drivers conspicuously absent is John Ulmer, the big cheese, not here today, and Romagnolo down in Sean's class.
Yeah,
the GTDs.
Yes, definitely. Noticeable omission.
On screen, we've got a battle starting to erupt as Andra looking around the outside into Lacombe on Tinsey. He knows he's got to get ahead of him to have any sort of hope at this championship, and it doesn't go off this time.
Boy, I almost got to think, if I'm Robert Tinsey, maybe I just let him go by. That one position isn't going to matter. What is going to matter if I end up in the Armco?
Yeah, that will definitely matter.
I think it'll depend on how aggressive he starts to see Andra get. But from what we've seen of Andra, I don't expect him to try and get this with an overly aggressive move. He hasn't been that type of driver. He's very much been about fair play for this season. So I think if he's going to get it, he wants to make it clean.
Oh, we got trouble in the GTDs. McLeish comes screaming through, totally missed the braking zone in the bus stop. Oh man, let's just watch the replay.
And he got into Haystack.
Alan Haystack has him saying, "What was that? Who are you? Where'd you come from?"
Basically, Haystack winds up with amounts to about a hip check.
Yeah, well, he was about 300 yards ahead when the whole thing stopped, and boom.
Oh, and that gave him significant damage on his front.
Yeah.
That was in the front left corner, so he could potentially have suspension damage. Car looks like it's tracking relatively straight, but oh boy. As we look at him on screen now, that is certainly not going to help his speed.
No, but like you said, he's still tracking right now, so that's good enough. I hope.
Things settling down in all 3 classes, as nobody is really much closer than 0.4, 0.5 of a second to each other. And as soon as I say that, I see Cy Andra gets a little bit of a toe on Tinsey, but isn't nearly close enough to attempt another pass. But now we start to get some traffic.
Yeah. Yep, here cometh the traffic. The battle we're watching on screen is pretty good right now. Santana chasing Rosenbaum here. These two just now kind of come together. Santana has had pretty good pace here, guys.
So right on board with Kevin, following closely behind Rosenbaum, fighting for that 4th spot, working their way up towards Blanchimont. If he can stay within the toe through this fast left-hander, he could maybe have a go, trying to outbrake him into the bus stop. Both of them nice and tidy through there. Rosenbaum staying a little bit middle of the track, then he goes back to the racing line. Santana tries to go for it, tucks it into the apex. Textbook move from Kevin Santana to take 4th.
That's kind of pretty. Nice move there by Santana.
Always a risk, Sean, trying to send it in there, especially offline, because it's so easy to outbrake yourself into there.
Yeah. Well, we already saw what happened to Tim McLeish. But no, seriously, Joe, that you said it. It is so easy to outbrake yourself there. So many mistakes can be made in that bus stop, and we generally get to see them all. But that was a really, really well thought out move.
So they coming up and over Eau Rouge through Radillon. A little bit of a battle happening farther behind, or actually, well, we switched over already. I wasn't sure if the draft was going to help that erupt once again between Santana and Rosenbaum. But this is Fleming and Dave Hill coming down towards Pouhon. Hill having made himself a little bit safer since I first looked at it, and has got about 7/10 over Fleming. North versus the South here. It's Canada versus Texas.
Hill's had a real good season. Currently racing in 6th position in the class.
Doing a great job just running steady laps here, not making any mistakes that we're seeing. Fending off a charging Patrick Fleming. They come up to Blanchimont themselves as well now. And unfortunately, not just with the way that Hill is able to keep that car on rails at the moment, not really seeing much in this battle. So why don't we step away from this and duck back to Rosenbaum and Santana, since Rosenbaum has not dropped off the tail of this Merc.
No, Joe, he hasn't. Still digging here. Again, a long way to go. This is a 90-minute race, so just because you've given up position now doesn't mean you'll lose a chance to get it back. And at the moment, Rosenbaum doing exactly what he needs to do. Just keep him close. Try to avoid those off-track incidents at all costs.
Looks like a little wide of Blanchimont, though, there, and lost some time on Santana.
Yeah, just as I was talking about how he should be careful, he gets a couple tires off there, and boy, you don't want to lose grip through there. That will just kill you every time.
Let's go up to the prototypes real quick. 2nd position, Ellis has already made his way through here, but the guys racing Tinsey and Andrew becoming to come up on the back of traffic now. Next one up for Ellis is going to be Kudrowski. Those two guys just got themselves around the lap car of Hasebeck.
Hasebeck dealing with some damage. He might want to take his spare car as we ride through Eau Rouge. The incredible downforce of these cars, and a great run up on top of the hill here for Cy Andra. He's going to use the slipstream, going 3 wide just momentarily with that lap traffic. Ooh, interesting. Tinsey lifting off, not fighting it.
All right, that could be a couple things. That could be, I don't want to fight you, or I know my fuel numbers and I don't want to make this a 2-stop and then a 3rd splash and go.
Could be both.
Yeah.
We wondered about this before the race. Is Tinsey going to play this safe? Is he going to points ride, knowing with that 17-point gap, he doesn't even have to be 1 car behind, 2 cars behind. He could be multiple cars behind Andra and still take it home. So just sitting. Oh, and we got some information. Oh, Duprat.
Yeah, Lytle just had a problem. He spins it right down your Ravage.
Great job from Chris Pence.
Well, wasn't it? Chris was
There's right in the racing line.
Let's watch on board from Pence's view. The Autobahn East driver in that fight for 2nd for his team. Down into this long right-hander. Thankfully, he could kind of see it happening ahead of him.
Yep.
That gave him a little heads up.
That was almost a special delivery there. Sorry.
Well played, sir. That promotes Chris Pence up into 8th for him.
Now
Pratt's down to 9th.
That has more importance than one might realize, because if attrition were to play and we lose a few drivers out of the prototypes, that makes it a lot safer for Tinsey. He can almost guarantee himself if disaster would strike, he'd still be, what's the worst case, he could finish maybe 7th. So the more drivers that fall out of it for the prototypes, the better for the points leader.
Now, have we seen an off yet for Andre? Because for Andre to get maximum points, which is 37, he needs a perfectly clean race.
Yeah, that's not going to happen here. If he comes home clean at Spa, then he deserves more than one bonus point.
So as we watch now, Andre up into second, 2.3 seconds behind the leader, but fourth up for grabs. Gralty and Young. Gralty takes it away from Young.
Yeah, I just mentioned how good Young was doing, hanging on the back of the driver in third of Tinsey. And that was Scott McGarvey had it off.
Oh, no.
Ooh. Oh, Sean, the wall was
the replay.
The wall was a long time coming. Yo, he got some help from Alex Ellis.
Ellis, our leader.
Yeah. Yep, you're going to see Ellis come into the picture, and poor Scott started to turn in, and Alex was there. He can't get on the brakes quick enough to avoid running into that Armco barrier, though. Not going to be heavy damage, but he's stuck there right now, and then he wound up taking the tow. And he's out of the car. Scott's out of the car, guys.
Sad to see for a driver who has just been racking up podiums all season long in that GTD class. Now, what kind of damage does Ellis have as we come back live? Can we get a close shot, maybe, to see if he's got anything on that car? It looks clean from this angle.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Ooh, as he has a moment getting sideways through Blanchimont. You don't get sideways often in these cars with their downforce, and especially through a high-speed corner like that.
Let's stay on this as we have the two leaders coming up. This is Bradley Haley that he's coming up behind.
We haven't talked about a whole lot because guess what? He's taking care of business. And that pass done very well. Nice clean pass there.
So Vredick back in the mix as Onder just gets around him. And now there goes Tinsey.
So far, been a good race for Haley. Hasn't really had any major dramas that we've seen. At about 1.9, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Vredick. Which is interesting because as of late, Vredick seems to have had a little bit better pace over Haley. And I say that, it's usually the smallest of margins.
You know, Brad got a really, really good start, and he's been able to maximize that with really good pace. And like you said, absolutely no trouble. Vredick, on the other hand, is at times been maybe a little bit off. And now he's having to deal with that little bit of traffic that just came through, and it's dropped his gap even more. Haley obviously going to have to deal with the same two cars as they come through. But, boy, things really starting to open up now after they pass through. Catching him at Puhan. Watch out.
Oh, going to try and sneak through there. That's that battle for position between Young and Gralty. Young not able to do anything with it. But stay on this battle, but just an update on that points lead battle in the GTD. Here's where it gets interesting. Haley has the pole, so that gives him a bonus point. And that will mean if he wins, he'll be that'll be the 6 points. And if Vredick gets second, that'll be the 6 points between them, and it'll come down to a tiebreaker. So who has the most wins?
And then don't forget the bonus point for being clean.
Ooh, yes, true. So Vredick could potentially stay in second and still take this championship. Potentially,
yes.
Oh, GTLM battle for the lead once again. Gerard trying to fend off Ooms. The Mantra looks up to the outside, down into Lecoombs. And he's not able to do anything with it.
What they have done is lost Stephen McGarvey.
McGarvey, last season's champion in this middle class. It wasn't the GTLM last time. It was GT1. It was the final season for that class before they switched over here to the GTE cars. And sadly for him, despite some decent performances throughout the year, he was not able to retain the crown. And he's watching two of the fast guys up ahead of him fight for the win. Almost kind of sums up the season for him.
Yeah. Despite Gerard being faster in qualifying, my gut tells me that Ooms has the pace right now.
Here's what strikes me, though, about that pass attempt. We've seen that a few times in all the different classes here, Bill. And usually that run to Lacombe's just is rife with passes, with the drafting here on this track. It doesn't seem as powerful today.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it has something to do with the setups on the cars. Maybe somebody has less downforce or more downforce up front. That's why they're not getting the main line, the straight line speed.
Wind is only 6 miles an hour, so even if it is a tailwind, I'm guessing it's not that.
Let's see now as they head down into the chicane. Nothing going to happen here.
Yep, not close enough for that one, so they're just going to stay in line and wait that one out. You know, we were watching Andra and Tinsley, and we saw Tinsley let Andra go very easily. Well, he's let him go very easily. He's now 1.5 seconds away from Tinsley.
It's all about fuel.
And Andra wants, he'll for sure want to try and get past his teammate, and you seem pretty sure that Ellis is not going to give it up. He's dealing with a little bit more traffic in the form of Huff and Fleming. This is a battle for position in the GTLMs, so they're not going to want to pull over very quickly. And as soon as I say that, one of them pulls over. Huff lets him through.
Well, what a nice job from Ryan, because that has been a battle with Fleming that's been going on forever.
Oh, and he's going to get a great chance as Fleming has a rough time up and over Radillion. They're going to get split by the car of Andra. He makes it safely through, up to the outside towards Lacombe. Ryan Huff takes the spot away, moving himself into 7th.
GTD battle 5th place under threat here. Brandon Garcia trying to hang on to it. He will this time around, but Ross Booth chasing hard here. Ross had gotten right up alongside him. Look for him to make another move here. You're going to get, right up on the wing. Booth really pressing hard here. He's going to press all the way downhill here into Eau Rouge. Look for a big run on the Camel Straight when they get to the top.
And Booth really needs to try and hustle if he wants to get another spot in the championship. Right now he's behind 5th place in the championship, Santana, and it's about 9 points between them. Actually, no, make that 11 points.
And Kevin's up there riding in 3rd right now. He's got himself a podium spot.
Well, I was going to say we had a change for position. I was wrong. Sorry, that was car going a lap down. So let's stick with this. Gracia still fending off Booth for 5th position.
Brandon running a special paint scheme, a tribute to the Humboldt hockey players, to the Broncos. Tragically lost their lives here about a week and a half ago, but very cool car and a great battle right now. Booth continues to look for an opportunity to get the nose in.
Yeah, Gracia being Canadian, I'm sure that hits home especially hard for him. Meanwhile, 1st place closing up in the prototypes.
Is it fuel? I don't know. Is it damage on Alex Ellis? I don't know. What I do know is that Cy Andra has closed that gap, which was 1.3 seconds, now down to 0.4. We'll know about fuel for these cars in the next, you look right up there, 4 minutes and 25 seconds. If they can get past the 1 hour to go mark, then they should be able to two-stop it, obviously.
We're getting very close to his teammate up into Lacombe as we ride on board with Andra now. Heading down towards Rivage, dropping Tinsley by a whole 3 seconds are these two. Thing is, though, Bill, you talked about could it be fuel? Maybe Ellis slowing up a little bit to let Andra catch him to help him with fuel?
Perhaps, and we saw an off track from Andra, so any bonus points he's picking up there, they're going quick.
Yep, and they're going to go by Billy Smith, working around the outside. Smith currently sitting in 4th in his class and really in no man's land. 9 seconds ahead of Peterson, 6 seconds ahead of McGarvey. That's pretty much what his season has been like.
We're going to learn a lot here in the next 20 seconds as these guys head to the bus stop. If they make a pit stop, one stopping it is going to be tough. If they can go one more lap, I think we might be okay.
Yeah, 2 minutes a lap. One more lap should be right on the cusp, I believe, of what's doable, especially since you lose a lot of time strolling down that pit lane.
Save a lot of fuel in pit lane.
One car is peeling off. That's Jeffrey Ooms.
Now this, I think, what Ooms is doing is he has enough fuel. It's not really a three-stop issue, not really a point of contention in the GTLMs. What he's doing, he's tired of being behind Gerard. He's going to come in and do it the old-fashioned, or the easy way, this hot lap around him.
Bush Fink Ferrari having to work his way down as we look at our leader in the GTLM, Jason Gerard, now leading McGarvey.
And if we can go to Gerard, about 30 seconds ago, he just got into the back of Robert Kalinka. This is right after Ooms pitted. Cross him right out of La Source. And I don't watch the damage as when we get to La Source here. We're looking at Gerard. That's in front of him, and he gets him. You couldn't see from that angle, but he came across the back of him. Oh, we'll go on board. You can probably hear it.
We'll see. We'll be able to see if he has much damage because the front will be a little crinkled here. Yeah, oof. That was definitely a hard enough hit. Doesn't look like much from that angle, but I can guarantee you that is felt, especially in a straight line. And as that was happening, our two leaders weaved their way through Gerard and Stephen McGarvey, split them momentarily. Now we've got Tinsey between them.
Ooms is in and out.
Comes out at the tail of his field.
No tires, I believe, as his stop was only 16 seconds. I think these guys in the GTLMs are gonna take tires either one of these two stops.
Well, the GTLMs are known for having pretty hardy tires since these are endurance cars traditionally. So I wouldn't be too shocked if anybody got no tires at all. We'll have to wait and see. As we were pointing out earlier on in the pre-show, that there's a lot of fast, long corners which tend to wear out the tires a little bit more.
Yeah, they do, Joe. And when you think about those corners, you think about Blanchimont and even Pouhon, for that matter. Pouhon, a real can really take a lot out of the tires down there.
And there we see Jason Gerard wastes no time, probably aware that he's got a little bit of damage and decides, well, might as well bring it in now, see if I can get some repairs. Here's that sharp corner that we always talk about. And he makes it through successfully.
Jack in the Box has a great $5 meal right now. No.
GSRC not sponsored by Jack in the Box, of course.
But should be. And if you're listening, hey, give us a call. Race drivers got to eat. That's all I'm going to say about that.
As he slowly works his way down, that battle between Huff and Hill is close enough that they're now side by side, and unfortunately they're blocking the track for Mark Wilson, who actually has to lift. Huff comes out ahead. That moves him into P4. Dave Hill slots into 5th. All right, Jeffrey Ooms coming through now.
And Gerard is just coming out.
Ooh, it's going to be very close. So if he lost time, yes, he does. Oh, and by a good margin. Now that Gerard is up to speed, it's looking like nearly 1.5 seconds between himself and Ooms. Boy, that car contact really hurt.
And that wasn't because of a pit stop difference. Both of them are within a half second from cone to cone or in their box. So yeah, it was Ooms being fast.
Battle for 5th in the GTDs. Gracia and Booth going door to door, but Gracia decides to lift early. He's going to let Booth through into 5th.
And the prototypes are all in, and we should point out it's well past the 1/3 mark. So I think it's safe to say they can get to the end on one more stop.
None of them taking any risks with an alternate strategy here, though. as I believe, maybe one Armando Edwards thinks he can go an extra lap. Any others? I think every single one except Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson also continuing on for an extra lap. But Pence and Duprat in the last two in. So all but two have decided that now is the time.
And they'll probably won't want to fool around with short fill and hill. They'll need it almost all the way to the end to get to where they need to go on one more stop.
Yeah, I can't anticipate there's any sort of shenanigans on variance and strategy here.
Safretek is in, guys, in the GTD class. Dennis Safretek comes in from second. Haley going to go around another trip, but Dennis pulls off. Guys, I have a theory about what Dennis was doing back there. You know, I think he was listening to us earlier when we were talking about what is really at stake here for the battle for the championship. He seemed to have really started to lay off the last 3 or 4 laps. I wonder if he is taking care of those incidents now and just letting Bradley run out there with reckless abandon, hoping that he can, get that battle done with less incidents, get that championship away from him.
Second place and a perfect race, I think, will do it for him.
Yeah, that should give him that extra point to allow him. But here's the risk in that, Bill. As soon as he has a single off, he has to make sure that he's close enough that he can attack Haley. Unless, actually, we need to send maybe Simon and Poindexter to get us some information about who has the most wins. Because if they do tie on points, we need to know who's going to win this thing.
You know, I would say Sovretic, but Haley was so dominant early on that, we will go ahead and take a peek on that so we can get the idea who has the tiebreaker. I did not see Sovretic go up on the jacks.
Yeah, just a bare bones pit stop for the privateer as he now comes out and hits those cones, marking that you can take the pit limiter off, accelerates up through Eau Rouge. So just a fuel stop.
He was the first of our GTDs to pull off.
Guys, Mark Wilson ran out of fuel.
Oh no!
I think he came to a halt in the pit entry.
Armando Edwards is going really slow, but this may be the pit speed. Oh, I think Edwards is out of fuel too, don't you think?
Yeah, it looks like that gamble is not going to pay off. There we see Wilson coming to a halt. And this is Edwards. Well, the good thing for Edwards is he made it to the downhill, so gravity is in his favor.
And no one was behind him as he was going through the Jack-in-the-Box clown there.
All right, both drivers in their pit stalls, one with a tow, one coasting in. As we come back to our prototype leaders, Ellis has got a gap of about 1.5 seconds over Andra at this point.
I once run out of fuel in real world ordering fast food. That's just the worst.
This actually happened to you once.
Yeah, in the fast waiting in line. Yeah, I had made my order, then I had to push my car through to get my food.
Which was more embarrassing, that or having snow inside your car?
It's a tough call.
Tinsey still in third, but as we said, falling ever backwards, 5.5 seconds behind Andra now, not really seeming like he's trying to hustle.
Guys, this is not working out for Brad Haley. Now, what he hoped for was to stay out there on track and get some good, fast, clean laps in. Well, he spent most of the time since the Sovretek pit, he spent most of the time battling traffic and just had to do it again. Mike Young and Jason Girard coming through, and man, they were door to door, and he was having to back off and get off his racing line, and it's now cost him time, I think, and that's not what he needed for this strategy to work. He's out now on his second lap after Sovretek came in here just a little while ago.
In comparison to Sovretic, who's out there with nobody in front of him right now.
Boy, yeah, Sovretic is just in completely clear air. Mark Wilson's out ahead of him, but that's not going to be an issue. Here we see our GTLMs now all coming in, Fleming and Hill.
I should just report, I don't know if we ever mentioned it, that Ellis, Andra, and Tinsey came out in the order they went in.
Oh, and Mike Young had an off just now into the bus stop. This one, a little bit of driver error, but maybe put a little bit off by the car of Larry Ford.
Brad Haley's in the pits, guys.
Oof, so not able to wait any longer. And if that traffic hurt him as much as you say, could we see Denis Servetic, our championship leader, leapfrog him? Oh. Sorry, we had some information there for a second. Looks like it's passed, but Servetic could use strategy to leapfrog him and make the whole tie on points moot.
He's out of Fondies now, on his way to Paul Freire.
My God, it seems like he is so far away. But the pit lane is so long here.
It is.
Haley still hasn't even hit a stall.
Yeah.
Dennis has really got a chance to boogie here, man. There is nobody in front of him.
Right on board with Servetic. I can report that Haley is now stationary, has come to a halt. And I think he too is not taking tires. We'll find out once he exits.
Soup, when you see the word privateer, do you imagine like an eye patch and a saber and a handkerchief on the head? Yeah, that's same here.
Parrot on his shoulder, yeah.
Yeah.
He does have a skull on his helmet.
Haley stop a 26.3. Servetic's was a 25.1.
Ooh. Just going to make it even closer. Haley hits the cones now. He's behind Larry Ford, but that shouldn't slow him up with that being a faster class.
Here comes Servetic. He's hustling, baby.
Servetic's got a full head of steam. Haley just getting up to speed, but I think Haley is going to be ahead of him. There we can see them both on the same screen. And Ford actually is going to pull over and let Haley by, which is actually great news for Bradley because putting a car between yourself and your competitor always helps.
I'm sure Servetic's sitting back there going, all right, what's that all about? You know, honestly, he did pick up about a second. That's the difference because Servetic had fallen about 4 seconds back. And so he picks up about a second. So actually a really, really good stop for Dennis. But again, I think his strategy is a little bit different here at this point.
And way down through Puhan now.
That second was all in the box. That's where the difference was. Their time cone to cone was also a second different, but you can tell that Servetic was faster getting the fuel put in.
Only driver who has not pit so far out of everybody is Brandon Gracia. I expect he'll be in a second. He's coming up to the pit entry right now. And just like that, the Ferrari comes on in.
And Brandon doing a good job so far. He's holding his own out there, man.
He was in a battle with Ross Booth before this, but Booth pitting on a little bit of a different strategy has separated them momentarily. Here we see the Blackadder Motorsports machine coming up to this very narrow corner in the pit lane.
I'm going to keep my eyes on Booth here. Booth right now finds himself coming up on Paul Freire now. He just made the right-hander in 14.
But Gracia just goes to show you how far those GTDs can run. I mean, we're at the 49-minute mark to go.
Yeah.
About 4 minutes.
Nearly halfway.
4 minutes short of halfway, yeah.
17 laps to be exactly put on that.
Gracia hits a stall. Once this is through, we'll give you the top 5 of each of the classes since we'll be just about smack dab in the middle of the race. There's Ross Booth coming through the bus stop now. Up and across the finish line towards La Source. Gracia still stationary. I think Booth's going to have him easily here.
I think so. Something wrong with Brandon's car. That's a long stop for him.
Very long stop.
Good tires.
No, that's the car behind him. Rossi apologies, having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but we'll get pictured back to you soon. Gracia is out, and we'll come back with the race order after we come back from this short break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. You're watching the final round of Season 6 in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. 2 championships being decided today. And with pit stops done and us just about halfway through this race, let's go through our race order. With the top 5 here in the prototypes, Alex Ellis currently leads the way with his teammate having an issue on the very first lap. He took it over and hasn't looked back since. Cy Andra, who's trying desperately to try to get this championship, is looking less and less like he's going to get it because as he runs in second, well, with a 17-point gap up to Robert Tinsey, Robert only has to sit back here in third where he is right now, and he can easily take that home. But how about Daniel Gralty sitting in fourth? Started in 5th, has moved up 1 position. We keep talking about him being one of those fast drivers that keeps improving and keeps improving. Well, Daniel finds himself in a good spot once again, just outside of the podium in 4th. Then Mike Young, one of our race winners for this season. He has our top 5, rounds out our top 5 here in the prototypes. Bill?
Jeffrey Ooms was chasing the pole sitter for the first third of the race. He finally got around him. Stops are made. Now he starts to distance himself away from Jason Girard. Not sure if it's pace or maybe a little bit of damage that Girard might have picked up on his car as he came up on the behind a slower class. Steve McGarvey racing in third. He's got about, it's not really that far behind Girard right now, only about a half second back. We'll see if he can hold his position till we finish the rundown. Billy Smith in fourth, racing all by himself. And then Ryan Huff again having another good run. What he does, just getting top fives. Sean?
Well, Soup, there's still 42 minutes left in this race, and Brad Haley is your leader in the GT class in his Mercedes. Dennis Savretic is chasing him in second, just under 3 seconds back. So Savretic certainly not out of this, but we did some computing during the break, and we got Simon and Poindexter busy, and it looks like if this holds station right now, Savretic is going to win this championship. So Brad's going to really need some luck at this point. Sheldon Rosenbaum sitting in third. That's still a good battle between him and Ross Booth. We don't want to give up on that one. The podium at stake there, and those two have been fighting hard for quite some time. So I expect things will heat up here in just a bit between the two. Then we'll go down to fifth, and that's going to be Kevin Santana, who's kind of got it all to himself right now. Santana having a good race, but certainly going to need to work a little harder if he wants to find any more. Maybe get himself into that battle with Rosenbaum and Booth, but he's 20 seconds back, so he's got a lot of work to make up there.
And there we saw on screen, Booth had to go into the bus stop and couldn't quite get it done. He's going to have another bite of the apple as they come up to La Source. Boy, Booth is really squeezing Rosenbaum down to the middle of the track. That's going to make it incredibly shallow into this hairpin, and he spins his wheels off the corner, so Ross Booth is going to get a better drive down the hill. Can he get ahead of him before Eau Rouge? The answer is yes.
And Joe, Ross he's the biggest mover in the GTD class. That was his fifth spot he's picked up. And not only was it his fifth spot he's picked up, it's the one that's put him on the podium. Savretic and Haley, forget about those two. They're in a whole other world right now. Ross did a really good job to climb up here. He's going to have to fight hard to keep Rosenbaum off his six here.
Don't forget, Sheldon Rosenbaum has a win this season, though.
He certainly does, Sue.
Let's look at P2 in the GTLMs. This is Girard. He was the leader for so long. Boy, he is really struggling. And here comes Stephen McGarvey. Little by little has been reeling him in as they go into Rivage now. I think it's just a matter of time before McGarvey gets him. And the gap, though, is 2 seconds back up to Ooms.
And while that's been happening, I do want to point out that Andres closed in on Ellis and is now only 3/10 behind. It was down to 2/10 when they came up to the hairpin here. Well, the question is, will he attack?
Oh, he's got a run.
He's got a great run. Ellis is going defensive, trying to hold his teammate off. Andra up to the outside, back to the racing line. Better on the brakes for Alex Ellis. And Andra slips back into second for now.
I think that kind of answers the question of whether those guys are going to help, if Ellis is going to help Andra win the championship there. That was a definite defensive line.
Well, and Ellis has to know what the point situation is too. So at this point, he has no motivation to just hand it over. This is for pride out there. That's Dave Hill in front of them as they come into Pujon. He's going to be much slower through this double apex left-hander. He dutifully stays to the outside. Nice job by Hill. Another defensive move from Alex Ellis into Fagnes, and Cy Andra slots back into line, bides his time. Again, these two for the pole, 1/1000th of a second apart. So you talk about being close on pace, doesn't get much closer than that. And a big mistake out of Stavilo. That's going to give it to Cy Andra as he's got the speed and gets through, but they've got Leif Peterson up ahead of them. Is that going to interrupt things and hand an opportunity back to Ellis? Caught behind him just a little bit, blew through Blanchimont. Weaving around that blue GTD. There goes Alex Ellis, sticking his nose in down to the inside of the bus stop, going way wide. Cy Andra has to bring it tight through the second apex. They're going to be door-to-door coming out of that corner. The inside is going to go to Alex Ellis into La Source, and he's got a nose ahead now. Andra knows it. He moves back to the rubber. Swings it wide. looks for the over-under. And what a defense from Alex Ellis to take that back.
Wow. Wow. And I don't think it's over yet, because this is the same place where Andre got the pass last time, and he's got another pretty good run. They got to get around the car there. That Schlenka gets out of the way. There's that defensive line again.
For the prototype lead. What did he learn last time? That's the question. Andre breaking a little bit deeper, thinking he's got it in his hands. Still not giving up. Oh, gets a little bit of wheel spin off of Lacombe. And once again, he's rebuffed by Ellis.
Car's equally painted there. Andre has the red helmet. Ellis in kind of the white, red, and blue helmet. Oh! Boy, I thought Ellis was going to lose it.
Remember, Ellis is on a 2-win streak right now. He could make it 3 in a row, finish off the season on a hat trick. And I'm sure he'd like to. We talked to him at the end of the last race, asking if he's going to go for the championships next season, and it seemed like a very solid yes.
These guys are 10 seconds ahead of Tinsley.
10 seconds or 2 seconds, Tinsley knows it doesn't matter. And he's probably happy to let them battle it out, knowing that they could potentially take each other out, and Tinsley could finish this off with a win as well.
Yeah, Tinsley's biggest concern are names like Dave Hill, Leif Peterson. That's what's going to cost him a championship if he gets involved with a slower class. Yeah.
A little bit of a look there from Cy Andre into the bus stop. He tries to get the run off of it. And boy, Ellis knows it. He holds it all the way to the pit wall. Ducks it back to the racing line. A little bit deeper on the brakes once again for Cy Andre as he starts to feel out his teammate, figuring out where he can get him. Down the hill we go once again. This one is not done by any means. I understand we had a change for position in the GTLM class, but we might have a change right here as Andre gets another bite.
Man, he is so much better through Redion. Gets a great run. He's also great out of La Source, too, because of the defensive line that Ellis takes. And now they head down here one more time.
Oh, big slide there from Ellis, but keeps it out of his teammate.
Ryan Huff, where are you going to put the car? They're coming too wide behind you.
Yeah.
Just keep going straight, buddy.
Ellis has an opportunity to box Andre in. Ooh, wow, great job from the car of Ryan Huff to just put it way out into the gray stuff and let them through. And the battle continues.
Hi, Sean. Sorry, but this is so much fun.
No, actually, I've still been watching the battle between Rosenbaum and Booth. It's been really, really good. Not sure what happened to Brandon Garcia, though. He is out of this race. Went ahead and parked the car and... okay, well, apparently he's got some concerns about the way the car was handling. I don't exactly understand all that, but that's all right. No problem. He brought it in and had no incident. Rosenbaum really just lost a lot of time to Booth as Mark Wilson was coming through. He got in between those two.
We're going to look at the replay here on the pass for second for Stephen McGarvey, as they head down into Eau Rouge. Must have got a run over Radillion.
Yeah, that one was a long time coming.
Up towards Lacombe. Not even a defense from Girard. Interesting. He just lets him slide on by. So that moves Stephen McGarvey up into second. He's going to want to finish this season on a high if he can't take a second championship, I'm sure. But he's a whole 2.2 seconds back from Jeffrey Ooms at the moment. We haven't missed anything with the prototypes as they've separated just a little. Andre's backed off to about half a second.
I do have a story.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And that's Dennis Savretek. Guys, he has caught Brad Ailey all of a sudden. They just having to deal with some of this traffic's been coming through. Got Brad a little bit off pace, and now Dennis has closed it down to about 3/4 of a second here.
And as Sean said, our notes were off a little bit earlier in the broadcast. It's 3 points difference between a win and second place. We thought it was 5, and that is how Sovretic is looking like. If he sits right here, he could still take home the championship. They've got a little traffic in the form of Chris Pence, who's going to wait behind them through the bus stop. Another bad corner from Bradley Haley through the bus stop as he outbraked himself, and you can see how much that's allowed Sovretic to close in.
He got right on the power, right behind him.
Oh, Pence is going to take the apex away from Haley, and that's exactly what he doesn't want right now because he wants to carry that speed. Once again, closing in to less than a car length now is Denis Sovretic. Even if he can take the championship from second place, he looks like he wants to try and do this with dominance.
Oh, winning the championship when you're first at the checkered flag is so much sweeter. I wouldn't really know firsthand, but it seems like it would be sweeter.
No championships there on the shelf, huh, Soup?
It's just great basketball, baby.
Ah, there you go.
Now we're almost to the 2/3 mark in this race, which means we can expect some more pit stops, including our GTLM leader of Ooms. There we go. I got that note so long ago, and yet he still hasn't made it to his stall. We get fed information behind the scenes, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I'll try and segue there eventually. Lo and behold, really didn't need to rush. Gerard comes in as well.
You know, Joe, if you're really into endurance racing, these things just fly by, don't they? I mean, I just looked at the clock, and I'm like, what, 30 minutes to go? What? and you know, the GTD battle, like I talked about a little while ago, I mean, it's back. You know, finally we got a battle here up front. Dennis put in the hard work to keep the car in the gray, and I'll tell you what, he's got Brad right where he wants him right now. These two are going to probably fight all the way to the end, unless something tragic happens. Again, the traffic has been a little bit tricky at times, which is a bit of a surprise here at Spa. But those HPDs, when they're coming through, man, if you don't catch them a good ways back, it can prove to be difficult to navigate it.
As a back marker, Spa's not. Oh, we look at this battle. Spa's not that difficult to negotiate to get out of the way. Plus, everyone knows it so well.
Reddick trying. He gets a good run out of the last corner. Coming up to La Source. Is he going to stick his nose in? He takes a peek, but he ducks it back in. Not going to make a marginal move. Oh, and see, here's where it gets interesting, though, is if he tries to win, though, Bill, if he wrecks the car, that is the championship to Haley. So he really can't do anything too risky.
Yeah, exactly right.
And in fact, if you really want to go into it, it comes down to pocket points. Sovretic has none. Haley has 8, which would be enough. Assuming they didn't get any points. I'm not sure how deep the field is. It kind of makes the difference between what you can do in the prototypes where the field is shallow and how you have to race in the GTDs where there's so many where if you do crash, you really get hit.
Last to the podium in the GTLM, Stephen McGarvey, you can see on your screen, working his way through the pit lane for his last stop of the season. At least what he hopes is his last stop for the season.
If it finishes in this running order right now with Ooms ahead of McGarvey, it'll be the 6th time this season that McGarvey has finished behind Ooms 1-2. It's a bit annoying after a while.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of annoying, you know, we've been watching this GTD battle. One thing we haven't mentioned yet, anybody who didn't watch Imola, we saw a strange occurrence with Haley and that's put him in this position where he pit stopped and then suddenly didn't come fully out of the pits. And we wondered, well, what happened? Well, turns out he had a bug, an error in the sim, and his car did not fill like it was supposed to. It did not put any fuel in. And that's what caused him to lose just a whole heap of points. Otherwise, if he would have finished, you know, any number of spots higher, he would be in a much better position. He could actually be in the reverse, where he could be finishing second behind Sovretic and taking the championship home.
Sean, a problem with a fuel nozzle, not something that you don't see. That's something you see in real world racing as well. Yeah.
Equivalated to that, exactly, Soup. But Yeah, the drama might not be quite what it is right now. Had things turned out differently, but Sofreta, boy, he peeled off real last second there, didn't he, Joe?
Didn't want to play his cards to the last moment.
All right, now this is where Brad needs a little bit of help. Okay, so Brad needs to have no interference here. Have a nice clean run around the track. It's just not. It's out of his hands right now. I mean, it's not totally. If he runs the race to the end and wins this thing, that's great. But something's going to happen to Dennis for this to work out for Brad.
Certainly is the case. We watch him run up the Kimmel straight. Now, the battle for the lead in the prototypes is closed back in just a little bit yet again, as Andra is once again rocked up under the rear wing of his teammate. He's got a good run up over Adillion. We've seen this story before, though. And Ellis has gotten very good at fending him off. Can he do it again? Oh, they are dead even under the brakes now. First apex goes to Ellis. Second goes to Andra. But the third, back to Ellis again, is going to put Andra back there. Oh, but he's got a great run through Malmedy. Ellis knows it. He moves to the inside down into Ravage. Round the outside, that's a tough one to ask for, but Andra's going to try and make it work, and he just might. Into No Name. He's got his nose in, but he's not brave enough. Woo!
Boy, but he's right there. He's going to take another stab at it.
Oh, not just on the outside of Ravage, but the outside of Puhan. Once again, just can't make it happen. He looks so much faster than Ellis the way that he's been fighting for this spot. Side by side through Flanges, and still Ellis is not giving it up. My goodness.
I have spent time in this car to prepare, but I've never been able to keep it off the wall long enough to really appreciate how the tires work. I got a hunch that Andres, he's got another good run, backed off, fell well back to see if he could cool off his tires and make another aggressive attempt at it like he's doing right now. Hey, he's in good position. Oh, no!
They come together. Ellis spins it around, makes contact with his teammate, doesn't hit the wall, but gets it going. Now, Tinsey has pitted, so he's not going to come through, but he could be past him
Andre's
by the
coming
time
in.
Ellis comes in.
Andre's going to come in right now and get a fresh car. This is not going to hurt him.
Same thing with Ellis. I wondered we saw them go too wide, and I started to hold my breath, and oh my God. Wow, Andra got away so lucky. A few more inches, he would have been turned around just like his teammate. Boy, we hear it on real-world broadcasts all the time. Sean, what's the #1 rule of racing?
Yeah, and this is why we can't have nice things, Joe. This is why. Yeah, you don't get involved in a scrum with your teammate, man. Just can't happen. Can't happen.
So Tinsey pitted last lap. He's coming around now up out of Stavilo. Andra and Ellis are in their stalls now. At least Andra is. Ellis is now getting there. I think Ellis is going to be easily passed.
Well, Tinsey was about 10 seconds back. Did Ellis get that car turned around and back out going before Tinsey got to him?
He did, but that's because Tinsey pitted.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Tinsey took an early stop compared to these guys. And Andra is already out. Tinsey's only coming around La Source now. So where's Ellis? Ellis is coming out. Oh, he might still be ahead of Tinsey. Yes, he will be. So he's safe. Interesting. I thought for sure the amount of time that Ellis lost there, Tinsey would be clear by.
Yeah. Looks like it's going to settle down at about 5 seconds, and Ellis is going to have a fresh car. This is good news for Andra, though. Now 10 seconds up on Ellis, so he can just bring it home for the last 23 minutes. Hey, how about some love? Can we give some love to Billy Smith? Is he actually leading right now in the GTLMs? Yeah.
But has he taken? No, he hasn't taken his second stop yet. So
no, but we don't need to mention that.
Yeah, I think this one is definitely between Ooms and McGarvey at this point, and
Yeah.
I don't saying that it's pretty much Ooms' race to lose. They have both taken their stops, and McGarvey is about 3.5 seconds back from the mantra.
Good to see Billy doing well. Well, racing in second right now would be Leif Peterson, but that's going to fall down a little bit. Boy, it's getting real busy there. Cy Onder goes around. Leif Peterson involved there. There's Dennis Savretic. A lot of big names around you, Leif. Careful.
And Savretic, remember, has been in the pit. He's taken his final stop. The GTD leader, Brad Haley, has not. Still out there on his second lap now. Pretty much same as last time on that first stop. But we'll see what Brad does here. He is, just over a minute ahead of Brad Haley. And those bogey times in the pits, Soup, they have not come down. It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds, so somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds.
Yeah, we can go ahead and confirm that Savretic did not take tires. I really would have thought that the GTLMs would, or the GTDs would take tires one of these times.
I've heard mixed information on that. I almost wonder if it comes down to driver preference a little bit on if you can handle a car that's a little bit loose and stay fast yet conservative with it. Maybe that's the kind of driver that Savretic is.
Well, there's no reason now for Haley to take tires with only 20 minutes. If you're going to take them, you want them earlier on so you can get some fun out of them.
Yeah, exactly. Here we ride on board now. Second place in the championship, first place on track. Try as he might, as we've said, if they finish with Haley in first and Savretic in second, Haley will not take the championship. 21 minutes left to decide it.
I was going to say, and of course, number one in everybody's hearts. So,
I think Haley's out there hoping for a German tank line to start rolling out of the forest, and they have to call this race.
Someone's been watching too much Band of Brothers, I think.
That's it.
As he goes through Eau Rouge one more time. The interesting thing, we haven't really talked about how the cars are handling, actually, is I know a couple of the drivers were expressing concerns with the rear of the car through Eau Rouge and Rodillion, saying it's a little tough. I believe it was on the GTDs. I think some of the GTLMs as well. Of course, HPDs, I'm pretty sure that's just straight flat out through there.
Yeah, they're stuck like Chuck. There's no lift through there. But the GTD, that rear end really, really wants to swing around. Oh, somebody had trouble coming through the bus stop. Kevin Santana. Woo! Santana. Right in front of Jeffrey Ooms. He gets in hot to the bus stop there.
Bob the Blade involved in that one too. That's Tinsey on the inside.
Woo! Quite a moment, yeah. Santana did a great job of recollecting himself, at least until that moment there we saw on screen.
Kevin really happy with this season. He's really happy to be on the overlay every time, sitting in fifth.
Now, we're getting some information about the session. Apparently, there was no official incident limit entered in when they set this up because they had a few technical issues, so they set it up a little differently than they usually did. But we do have confirmation they will give out DQs post-race if you go over 36.
Oh boy.
We won't see them disappear, but the points will.
So just to add drama, it's possible that Tinsey doesn't have this locked up because he already has 40 incident points and he's going to get scored in ninth. So,
and we won't know until after the race either.
Reason to tune in next season. We'll let you know.
Yes.
Well, no, we'll know. We'll know after we go to break. So we'll be able to say if anybody was DQ'd.
All right.
I'm going to I'm going to go with Soup. Let's leave him hanging until next season.
Tune in for the exciting conclusion. All right, Rocky Bullwinkle. We'll, so there's our leader, Cy Ondra. Now has a lead of about 7 seconds. Wasn't that 9 after the pit stops?
It was 9, yep.
Interesting. Now, 18 minutes left to go, though. 7-second gaps, that's pretty tall order, especially since the difficulty in passing that we've seen between these two teammates. Even if Ellis is able to run him down, I'm not sure it's likely that he's able to get past Andra. Looking down through the order, your leaders in each of the classes: Andra, as we said, leading the way in the prototypes. Billy Smith leading in GTLM, but he has yet to make his stop. And then Bradley Haley leading the way in the GTDs.
You know, I am starting to wonder if Ross Booth can keep himself in front of Retek. I wonder, okay, this really gives Brad a chance here to take this championship. If somehow Booth can beat Savretic here at the end. Booth and Haley both still out on track, both still needing a pit stop.
So you're saying maybe slow up Savretic? Because Booth, like you said, Booth needs a pit stop.
Yeah.
But right now, Savretic needs to hot lap because he's racing Haley, who's on the other side of the track.
But he only needs to finish in second, remember?
Yeah, but I think Savretic wants that win.
Yeah, and you know what? I was totally messed that up, but thank you, Joe, for correcting me there.
There's a lot to keep track of.
There is, but you know, honestly, what I was thinking about a little bit ago was like, can Haley and Booth actually make it? Because I only think there's about 8 laps left. We've got 16 and a half minutes. It should be about eight laps to go. I don't think they can stretch it that far, but it's certainly something to wonder about right now. They're still out on track.
I would think they'd have to be saving from the start, and Haley was absolutely pushing it.
No, but your point is valid, and in fact,
Booth
gets out of the way.
Through, yeah.
Right, Savretic is trying to. He's about 1 minute and 2 seconds behind Haley right now. Haley still needs to make that stop. With Savretic getting held up behind Booth and with the lap traffic going by, that's all good news for Bradley.
Yeah, anything that'll hold him up definitely is a positive, I think, for the Comet. But I just, it's clutching at straws, I feel like, at this point, that the championship is slipping away.
Have you not been watching the Autobahn races?
Good point, Bill. This is a good point. And I'm always the one that says you can't count it out until the checkered flag flies, and it's very true. Because if Savretic has something disastrous that happens, and traffic very much does come into play, let's see if what's the points for third. Actually, we haven't really looked at that. We keep focusing on him finishing second. 5-point
difference. So then we start to get into math and bonus points.
Well, and you said, Haley's got him on wins. So if they tie,
and Haley has the pole, so right away that makes it a 5 points. So that would put him in a tie, assuming that they both have dirty races. So that would mean I would think Haley would win if that were the case.
All right, Billy Smith gets his stop, which is going to give back the lead to Jeffrey Ooms. Now, here's what's interesting. McGarvey was 3.5 seconds back from Ooms not long ago. Well, that's now 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, and it was 2.5 seconds a while ago. I'm not sure what is going on here.
Apparently we caught it on screen. Well, we didn't, but the viewers did, as Jeffrey Ooms was slowed up by traffic, and McGarvey was able to navigate it that little bit better. 14 minutes to go. We got a race on our hands here, boys.
Yes, we do.
McGarvey's not going to get the championship, but it would sure be nice if he could beat Ooms head-to-head here.
Well, and that's what I think is so delicious about this. Ooms doesn't have to worry about anything.
Nah.
He's got the championship wrapped up. McGarvey has nothing to worry about. So these guys can go at a hammer and tongs. I think we might see some fireworks if McGarvey gets close enough.
Poor Jason Girard was leading early. He just the pace just went away from him, and he is 2.5 seconds behind these guys.
You know, I wonder if he did not take his free repair. If he tried to just repair the damage to try and hold on to that just in case, because that was on his first stop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That incident happened? Yeah, so he may have taken the free repair in the second stop, but the damage was done. Like you said, he is now well back.
For fans of the Pac Major series, that is called the Kalisto strategy. Lionel Kalisto, notorious for keeping those fast repairs in his pocket till he needs them. Look at this battle.
Battle. Speaking of battles for pride, here comes Mike Young. Going to slip up the inside into Lacoombs. And Gralty does not defend on the run up the Kemmel Straight. Doesn't even defend into the corner. He lets him have the apex, move Mike Young into fourth.
It was over an hour ago that we saw Gralty get around Young. It took Young a whole hour to get that back.
Guys, we are going to have a good battle in the GTD. It's going to be for the back of the podium. And
a GTLM lead up for grabs, side by side. McGarvey to the outside, tries to outbreak the Mantra, and I think he's done it. He's got it away from him. Can he try and fight back? Jeffrey Ooms pokes and prods, tries to go through the inside of Malmedy, but there was no room there. Beautiful move by McGarvey.
I know we're supposed to say unbiased, but you got to be a fan of the underdog. Steven's been behind him 5 times. We're going to look at this one on the replay.
Here we go on board the TMC Carbon car. Great run. Just textbook maneuver. Pulls up to the outside. And then slices through. Nicely done.
Brother Scott has had a rough day. This is going to make the family dinner a little more celebratory.
Yeah, it's a little palatable. Brad Haley is in, guys. Coming out of the pit right now, though, is Ross Booth. He's got Kevin Santana went in with him. This is going to be a fight to the end for the podium. Booth hangs on to that 3rd spot, but Santana with a great pit stop right there with him.
How about that? How far apart were they before the pit stops? Because didn't they pit, what, about like 5 or 6 laps apart from one another?
They did initially, and Booth kept it out there so long that Santana, I'm not really sure how he caught him, to be honest with you, there in the pits, but I looked up and there he was, and now he's fighting for that spot.
Servretic just going into the bus stop now. As Haley's in his box.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what. Here comes Servretic now.
Down the front stretch he goes towards La Source.
Haley's rolling.
There you see the Rainier racing car. Stretching for the cones. He hits the power. Where is Servretic? Servretic coming up to Eau Rouge now. Oh, it's going to be very close. Or is it? Haley's not going to be up to speed. Servretic will. There's Haley. There's Servretic.
Yeah, it's still about 3.5 seconds, Joe.
Ooh, Haley dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, Haley needed just that little bit less fuel there for staying out so long, Joe, and he was about 4 seconds faster.
Well, he was able to go, a lap further the first time, a couple laps further the next time, clearly getting better fuel mileage, I would think. So he saves it in this position, but 2.4 seconds. Dennis, you got your work cut out for you. Just under 10 minutes to get there.
Now, where is 3rd place in that class? Ross, am I seeing this right, that Ross Booth is over a minute behind?
Yes, he is.
Oof.
Yeah, and Ross had a great pit stop and honestly didn't lose any time to Servretic there. It just he was already really far back. That's why my numbers were all messed up before.
And this is the Alliance car of Patrick Fleming. Try to come through all 3 classes in one.
Oh boy.
And nice and easy. That was Mark Wilson, last of the HBDs.
We're getting battles in all of our classes now. Ellis has ran down Andra.
Oh, wow.
And McGarvey is doing his very best to stay ahead of Ooms and the GTLMs.
Did both Ellis and Andra take their spare cars, or is Andra maybe damaged? That was an incredible climb. I had written off Ellis to try and chase him down.
After they had made contact, I had done the same, but little by little. It's not from a mistake from Andra, as far as I can tell. It's just been running them down.
Incredible stuff from the Canadian driver.
It is possible
we're
that
all just
Andra
struggling to understand this.
That he maybe picked up damage in the contact that he had with Ellis and didn't take the spare car, although there were no other pit stops to save it for. So, and Sai is pretty sharp. I don't think he'd forget to do that.
Now, the plot thickens in the GTD class. Did Ross Booth take tires? Because we're hearing that Santana did.
Yeah, I don't think he did, Joe. It's an awful short stop. It was only 11.8 seconds.
Ooh, and Ross is feeling it. He goes defensive on Santana. This is again for the final spot in the podium. Now, we were wondering about Savretic finishing in third if something happens to him. Ross Booth is so far back. Ross and Santana are so far back. There is a very big potential for the leader to finish between them. And even if something happens to Savretic, him still finishing on the same lap as Haley. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes. And that is a rather odd scenario. That's why it seems maybe a bit hard to follow. But that very well could happen here. And listen, the reports of Denis Savretic's demise have been overly exaggerated as he now finds himself just over a second off of Brad Haley here. This, with about 4 laps to go when they come across the line, I think is going to be a real fight to the death.
There we see our 2 GTD leaders, our GTD championship leaders even, in the same shot in the final laps of the final race of the season. Savretic following him home. He can follow him home if he wants to and still take away the crown. But will he do that? That's the big question. Continues to chop away at that gap. It is now 7/10 between Haley and Savretic.
And Joe, I guess the one thing we need to remind all the viewers or fans about is that we really have no idea how many incidents they have. This could shake everything up.
Absolutely. Drivers need to be careful. They need to watch that on their screen because they'll get messages of how many they've got. At least when they get an incident.
Let's go to the prototypes. They just negotiated around Leif Peterson. That's Andra in front, Ellis chasing as they work their way around the other slower class car. That's Dave Hill.
I wouldn't call that negotiation so much as fisticuffs, the way as close as they were. Ellis now in the tire tracks of Sai Andra, and with a big run. Andra looking vulnerable in the straights. I'm pretty certain he has damage with how slow he is compared to his teammate. Ellis is trying to outbrake him around the outside into Lacombe. His car slides a little bit. This allows Andra to get back into it side by side. We've seen this before from them. It didn't go well last time. Off the corner, stronger for Alex Ellis, and he gets it done. Tries to come back at him.
Oh!
Sai Andra's not giving this one up. 4 minutes to go. Still next door to him. He's got the inside down into No Name, and he's able to rebuff his teammate.
Sai Andra is my hero. My gosh, what a move on the outside.
You know, all the while that was going on, we missed a great battle between Ross Booth and Kevin Santana. Santana got him out of the source, but you know what? Booth was just a little bit better down the hill and up through Rouge and ready on. Got him on the Kemmel straight, and now Booth gets that podium spot back.
Sai Andra certainly getting clever and getting incredibly brave here as we ride on board with Ellis. Ellis on 2 wins in a row in the last 2 races, looking to make it a hat trick in the season since he can't take the championship. Andra, knowing at this point the championship is over for him, wants to finish on a win himself. They come up to the bus stop. 3.5 minutes to go. Ellis a little bit too far back this time. 2 laps left.
Wish we had a goosebump cam, because if you get a picture of my forearms after watching Andre go around, I honestly had goosebumps from that. That's amazing. Here we go again.
Oh, but look at Ellis squirm under power. Yep. That's not going to help him. We don't talk about tires a lot for these prototypes, but they go through a lot of loads through them, a lot of G-forces, especially in corners like this. Ooh, and he's dropped way back. Andra is much safer this time by. Oh, and we had a car off. Lionel Duprat.
Getting out of the way for Haley.
Okay, so
well, he got in hot and kept it over there because he knew they were right behind him fighting. And here comes Sovretic here through Puhan.
Switched it over to the GTD lead battle. It'd be hard to keep track of this all in the final laps. Haley still leading. But as things stands right now, Sovretic still has the championship. He could potentially throw it away if he wrecks. Look at the damage still on the front of Sovretic's car.
Yeah, he's been working with that for pretty much, what, 2/3 of this race now, Joe?
Bad exit out of Stavolo for Haley. Sovretic gets into his slipstream. Coming up the Blanchimont. We see a dive. His is the closest he's been in a while. Stays with him, but at 3 car lengths back, I don't think Dennis is going to send one into the bus stop. Haley a little bit deep into the corner. We've seen that a couple times. Sovretic better off of the corner. Now Haley starts to stay defensive. Now he feels under attack. Sovretic going all the way to the inside. Haley keeps it right smack dab in the middle of the road. He goes a little wide at the corner. The over-under. And Sovretic takes the lead away.
Wow.
With a minute left on the clock, Dennis Sovretic says, I'm going to take this championship by the neck.
Well, that's going...
Go ahead,
Joe. Well, while that's going on, Honor's been able to fend off Ellis, but Ellis is going to have one more shot at him now. I think they got the white flag lap coming down into Lacombe for the very last time. Ellis has a run. Pulls to the outside.
Side by side once again into Lacombe. Andra was able to keep him back last time, but I don't think he's going to have it this time as Ellis was much cleaner into the corner. Andra's going to try to give that run off of Malmedy again. He's fended off as Ellis goes defensive. Oh, but he outbreaks himself slightly. They almost come together into Rivage. They got a little bit of traffic. He's going to stay out of the way. Nicely done. Ellis gets the lead. Change of position in both classes on the final lap. And I understand that Ooms has fallen to 3rd as well.
Yeah, McGarvey's just running away with it. Ooms must have some type of issue. Gerard's got around him.
And here come our leaders on the GTD leaders now. They should be able to lap them. So they are going to finish on the same lap as 3rd. So this still could change, and it's going to change in the prototypes. Because look at that, our leader was held up. Here comes Cy Andra. They're going to go side by side. Up around the outside goes Cy Andra into Blanchimont. They've got our leader in the GTDs coming up. They don't want to wreck him. That's Sovretic. Is he going to be able to get out of the way? They're going to go 3 wide for the lead. This is it. Checkered flag into the bus stop. Ellis has a nose ahead for now. It's off the corner. Ellis coming to the line, gets the better run. Ellis takes the win in the prototypes. Sovretic takes the win in the GTD.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing finish.
And as exciting as those were, McGarvey a lot more calm, but I'm thinking he's going to be just as excited in the cockpit. Gerard up to 2nd. He's well back at 5.5 seconds. Ooms trailing a long ways now. Is he out of gas?
Joe, I think you might be onto something there. He is really, really soft shoeing it.
Wow, not something we expected.
And here comes, where is Billy Smith?
He's 24 seconds back from Ooms. Is he even?
Smith is out of gas too, unless he's finished. No, maybe his race is done.
He might be finished, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lap down. I think Ooms is safe where he is then, right?
Yep. I think third is the worst he's going to do.
Yeah.
But first is what McGarvey will do. I know he's had at least one other win this season. I don't have the stats directly in front of me, so I'm not sure if this is his second or third win of the season.
He made a run. He got a couple in a row he was going for, trying to run down Ooms, but Ooms was having none of it. But this is a nice way to finish off the season.
A sweet little icing on a bittersweet cake for Stephen McGarvey, as he is going to win in the GTLM class in the final round here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. Let's look at the replay of Ellis and Andra, though. Wow, what a fight. This is Haley up ahead of Ellis that we're seeing right now. You can see he gets balked a little bit, and I don't blame Haley. He's in a battle for the championship. Doesn't want to give up anything. They get side by side. They went side by side through this corner before, this time successfully. Oh, you can see Ellis got loose again, just like the first time. Just enough room to squeeze through there.
And you realize that was Sir Reddick, who was on his way to win the championship. If he got taken out there, maybe he finishes third, maybe he loses the championship there. Wow.
And you got to give some credit to Cy Andra. If Andra wanted to, he could have tried to box him in behind Savretic, and that would have put Savretic in even more danger. Yeah. But he decided to do the gentlemanly thing and give space in the middle of the road for his teammates. So with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews and maybe potentially even any DQs. Stick around, because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched the final round of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. Just like a lot of the races in this series, it delivered right down to the checkered flag. A battle between our prototype leaders, Alex Ellis and Cy Andra, meant 2/10 at the line, and Ellis takes the win. Teammates battling all the way to the finish. Andra takes second. Robert Tinsley was well behind in third, and we were wondering if he was concerned about fuel at all. Well, we think the answer to that is no, because, well, Robert Tinsley had 0 incidents. He wanted the bonus point, is why he was going slow, we're pretty sure. Still, he takes both third place and seals another championship in this series. Mike Young will finish in 4th behind him, with Daniel Gralti in 5th and Armando Edwards taking home 6th place. Lionel Duprat finishes in 7th, and Chris Pence on the lead lap takes 8th. The only driver a lap down in the prototypes was Marks Wilson in 9th.
Then we get to the GTLMs, where Stephen McGarvey gets the win. Congratulations to him. Jason Girard gets 2nd. Go down to Jeffrey Ooms, shown 3rd on the overlay. 1st in our heart, but last in the official standings, as he went over the incident cap. So he will not be scored there. Move everybody up 1 position from here. Billy Smith, Ryan Huff, Dave Hill, Leif Peterson, and Patrick Fleming. One more driver of note that I'll mention so Sean doesn't have to worry about him. Larry Holmes was also in the mix, a couple spots behind the leader. Sorry, Larry Holmes, of course, the great heavyweight champion. I thought I was going to say Larry Foyt, but I blew it with Larry Holmes. I was got to get a super. I was almost done for the season here. Larry Ford in 20th. Move him up a couple spots. Go, Sean, before I do something else.
Okay, and our big winner in the GTDs tonight, Dennis Safretek, and Brad Haley going to come up just a little bit short. Dennis had better tires there at the end, he thinks. 2nd goes to Brad Haley. Great race between those two all night. Kevin Santana, he'll overtake Ross Booth late. Santana is going to beat Ross Booth, and we still just don't know where he came from to do it, but he does, and he's on the podium. Ross Booth 4th. Sheldon Rosenbaum will finish 5th. Mark Kidrowski had a pretty quiet drive tonight. I don't think we talked about him once. Poor Mark. Sorry, man. 6th place. Alan Haysbeck, 7th. 8th going to go to Matt Owens. 9th, Robert Sklenka. Brendan Garcia with some trouble and didn't like the way the car was handling. He took it off the track. Finishes 10th. 11th going to go to Scott McGarvey. Not much luck for him tonight. And wasn't any luck for Tim McLeish. He had trouble on lap 3 and never recovered from it. He'll finish 12th. Dale Green down there finishes 10th in class, 31st overall, 13th. And the final car here in the GTDs, Paul Lindsay. Actually, Dale Green, Paul Lindsay, and Dino Topic didn't take any laps, so I don't think any of them got off the line, actually, guys. So that is your finishing order.
Yes, all 3 were DNSs. Now we have our winner, and I think we're going to do a little bit special here and get 2nd place Cy Andra in at the same time as Alex Ellis, since they're teammates. So pulling them both in, and let's first talk to our winner, Alex Ellis. Congratulations. Now, you made a great pass coming up towards the end of the race, and then suddenly you had the traffic with the GTDs with Bradley Haley. Were you aware that Haley was in a fight for the lead at that moment?
I glanced down at my relative screen, and I knew that he was one of the front runners, so I didn't want it to get messy. I had been kind of undercutting guys on that high-speed corner going onto the back straight, and I tried to do it to him, but I mistimed it. So you could see in the stream, I had to check up a little bit, and that made me so vulnerable to Cy, and it got crazy.
It certainly did, and let's go over to Cy. A similar question to you, Cy. Coming up to the bus stop, you guys then approached Savretic, the other GTD leader. Now, you had the opportunity to try and box Alex in behind that GTD car, but you elected not to. Was that intentional? Was that out of respect for the GTD leaders?
Well, I'd like to say it was me being a good racer and giving space, but honestly, I had no idea whether Alex was next to me or not. So I had to leave room for 3 wide because everything was going so crazy that I didn't know if Alex was behind me. I didn't know if he was next to me. I didn't know if there was another GT3 car next to us. So I just hugged the right side of the track for all it was worth.
Now, Alex, going into this, obviously you probably knew the point situation between Cy and Robert Tinsley, and you knew it was a long shot. If something happened to Tinsley and he fell back, were you willing to give up the win to Cy to let him have the championship?
Yeah, well, for sure. We were all aware of the point situation, so we were watching that closely. So if there was something like basically that scenario that we had where we were battling down for the end, if Tinsley had dropped out early, I obviously wouldn't have been fighting Cy because we we want to get that championship, right? As teammates. So yes and no. It was as bad as it is for Cy to end up second and not first in the championship. It was fun to be able to kind of let loose and have that last crazy race.
Well, it was fun for us too, and we enjoyed the battle that you two gave us out on track for the final round, all the way down to the checkered flag. We're looking forward to next season. Both you and Alex coming back. Congratulations on first and second, and congratulations to Cy on second in the championship.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're excited to be back for next year. You can count on both of us showing up.
In the P1 cars, no less.
Awesome stuff. We look forward to that. Even more complicated cars out there, and that should be some good racing in the series. That was Ellis, first place finisher on track. Syandra, second place finisher on track, and second place in the championship. Up next, we have our champion in the GTDs and the winner on track. Dennis Savretic is going to be talking to Sean.
Well, Dennis, you picked up some damage early and you fought it the whole race, but man, congratulations. You get on the podium, maybe a little miscalculation from Brad on those tires, but you did it, buddy. Congrats.
Thank you very much. First, do you hear me, guys, at all?
Yes, we hear you great.
Okay. Yeah, I had, thank you. I had that strategy from the beginning to not push first stint, and to try to keep my tires fresh, because I practiced that and tires just fall off the cliff in the middle of the second stint. It's just bad. So I had that strategy and it was good.
Yeah, well, you sat on it for the whole race. You really waited until when it counted, and you had the championship lead going in, and there were a few scenarios where you could have lost that championship, but you took hold of it there at the end. Congratulations on winning the championship this season in the GTD class.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
So what was the key to winning the championship for you this season?
Well, to be fair, Bradley's bad luck, if I can say like that. I mean, driving on lower map fuel on Motegi, then Imola and few others, but okay, win is the win, so that could happen to me. But congrats to Bradley. I mean, to race with him is really, really great. He's a great racer. The whole league is great. I'm enjoying here so much.
So are you going to be back for next season? Are you ready to go?
I hope so. If I'm at home at the summer, I don't know. We will see.
Man, we sure hope you do make it back. You've made it fun and you've made it interesting, and love the paint job on the car.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dennis, thank you. We hope to see you next season. Take care, buddy.
Yeah, sure, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, fellas, that was Dennis Savretic. Great season for him. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Why don't we pull Kevin Santana in real quick? Let me just talk to Kevin here real quick. Kevin, a great finish to the race for you. Now, listen, we're watching a lot. There's a lot going on, especially in the closing laps of these races. And somehow we missed exactly how you managed to get by Ross Booth. Well, what kind of strategy did you pull off there at the end? Kevin, can you hear me?
I think he's fallen victim to the devil wind.
Or I put him to sleep with the opening of that question. One or the other. Something's going on here. All right, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Kevin, I'll tell you what. We're going to send you back up to the ready interview. Get your mic straightened out there. We'll bring you back. Let's talk to Bob the Blade here,
with Bill.
Apparently, heavyweight champion Larry Holmes not available for an interview, but I do get to talk to the prototype champion, Robert Tinsey. Robert, congratulations. Let's start before we talk about the championship. Let's talk about this one. A perfect, flawless, no incident race for you today.
Yeah, I was a little too scared to try to fight with those guys today, so I thought I'd at least try to make a game of it and try to get no incidents on one of the most notorious tracks for incidents.
Did you think back in round 4 you have a end up with a -6 for your score because you have a penalty? Then you take the next 2 weeks off, 2 races off to figure out, get your act together, get your head straight. You come back, little by little, you had to run down that championship.
Yeah, I really didn't think it was possible, especially after I got ejected into the stratosphere at Phillip Island. I thought that might have been it. But yeah, I just kept showing up to the races and hoping for the best and try to do all the, just keep it clean like I try to, and, consistent, really. I mean, that's all I tried to do is consistency.
I can't remember. I don't want to put you on the spot, but how many championships is this for you?
I think it's 4. Is it 4?
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on another one. Next season might be a little different, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I should be here next season, God willing. But real quick, I just wanted to thank John, Jason, and Jim for all the hard work they did, and of course you guys. You guys did awesome. I really appreciate it. And Cy and Alex, it was a great season with them. Unfortunately, Alex wasn't there for the whole season. Cy missed the first race, so you can only imagine how it would have been if they'd been at all of the races.
They plan on coming back, and of course, John Ulmer's going to be back next season, so it's going to be good. Good luck. Congratulations on the championship this season. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
You're doing well when you forget how many championships you got.
All right, let's try Kevin one more time here. Kevin, can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, now that I figured out that Windows 10 decided to be stupid and change my settings.
I suggest Windows 95. That's hey, listen, Kevin, I had said before when we tried to interview, that was a heck of an effort there to finish this race. But because we missed it, and I'm sorry we did, how did you pull that off there at the end to get by Ross Booth? What set that up?
I had full stint fresher tires than he did.
Okay, so it was just a difference in tires, and boy, you made up a lot of time quick. And podium finish here at a pretty tough track. You got to be pretty satisfied to end the season with a podium.
Oh yeah, there's no way I could have kept the car on track even without taking tires, and I knew that. So my safest bet was to take it and get what I get.
Well, it winds up being pretty good, Kevin, and congratulations on that. It's been a long season. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Now, of course, John for putting it on all these seasons and putting up with us.
All right, buddy. And you wind up 5th in the standings overall. That's a pretty good effort. The GTD field, one of the deeper fields in the league. So a lot of competition out there, and you held your own and you finished 5th. So congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, Kevin, we will see you next season, and we thank you. And guys, that was Kevin Santana. A good night for him. It yields him a 5th place in the standings. What a season here. Been really happy to be a part of it, guys.
It's been a thrill covering this one. One last bit of thoughts from you both before we go real quick. Obviously, we've run a little long here, but let's start with Bill. This is our 5th season covering of the 6 that they've had. I don't know about you, but I have just had a blast, and it seems like it keeps improving every season.
Each one of these classes would merit a race broadcast dedicated just to them. We have 3 of them on one broadcast. More action to cover than we actually can stand. What a great season. Never fails to put on a good show. Can't wait till next year.
I'm going to echo the sentiment by Soup a little bit. Joe, I'm looking forward to the changes that are coming forth. We're going to mix things up a little bit, and that in itself is exciting. Change can be good. Listen, folks, remember that. Change can be good. Remember that.
As David Bowie once taught us. So, as we get ready to close up for the season, again, this is the end of Season 6 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge, which means we have to thank the Autobahn Motorcar Group for sponsoring every single season of this series. And as we want to echo the sentiments of the drivers, a huge thank you to John and his entire team behind the scenes who do a lot of thankless work to make this happen week in and week out. A huge thank you to all of the drivers, every single one of you, for showing up and giving us this show, because it would not be as exciting as it is without you guys. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check us out on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, well, we don't know the date yet, but as always, you can expect that it'll be on a Monday evening at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We are anticipating we'll be back again for another season with the Autobahn series, as we are eager to be back on with them. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next season, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.